Namaste. Good evening, and a warm welcome to all for the 11th event of VIKASANA NEP 2020 Vision to Action, a national webinar on national education policy. I am Lavanya Radhakrishna, a full-time coordinator at Disha Bharat. Disha Bharat has actively worked in the field of value education from the past 15 years and has conducted value-based workshops for lakhs of students, thousands of faculty members, and many parents as well. It was indeed heartening that it was indeed heartening for one and all at Team Disha Bharat that the clauses in national education policy were very similar to what Disha Bharat has been championing earnestly all along. In order to facilitate a deeper understanding of national education policy, Disha Bharat has organized national webinars every month since November 2020. We have had the privilege of hosting most eminent and senior academicians as speakers. They shared their insights, wisdom, and understanding of national education policy in a very lucid way, and their speeches have been received exceedingly well by all the participants. For the 11th event in the series, we have with us Professor Bhagwati Prakash Sharma, and I request Manmita ma'am to introduce the speaker to us. Manmita ma'am is a psychologist by profession. With her love for psychology and literature and stint as journalist, she believes in holistic mental and physical development that leads to a personal excellence in life and career as well. She is a practicing psychologist with India, UK, and USA. She is an international coach, a trainer, a brain profiling consultant, and a passionate educator and curriculum developer as well. She has published scientific papers and she trains public on mental health aspects. She is a recipient of many awards like Stanley Stature Award for Counseling Psychology, Global Leadership Award in Mental Health, and the Best Teacher Award from Sansera and Excite. A warm welcome to you, ma'am. Over to you.
Namaste to everyone. Thank you, Lavanya ji, for that very warm welcome. Thank you very much. On behalf of Disha Bharat, first and foremost, I'd like to welcome all of you to today's event. I deem it my privilege to be introducing Professor Bhagwati Prakash Sharma ji on this very interesting VIKASANA platform, which has been throwing light on NEP and has become a boon for teachers from across India to improve their skills on NEP, the new pattern. And I shall now introduce the esteemed speaker for this program. Professor Bhagwati Sharma. Professor Bhagwati Prakash Sharma is currently the Vice Chancellor of Gautam University. Professor Sharma is an economist. Sir is teaching commerce and management at graduate and postgraduate level for the last 23 years since 1978. Sir is an expert on global trade scenario, the WTO, free trade agreements, economic globalization, patents, investment measures, business, environment, socio-culture values, and trends, etc. Sir has been keenly observing the developments in the economy and is a regular commentator on all the aforesaid mentioned issues. Ever since the launch of Uruguay round of talks for the formation of WTO, Sir has been participating keenly studying the MTAs in the biannual ministerial conferences of WTO since 2003. Professor Sharma, sir, is a reputed, nationally renowned consultant on intellectual property rights, industry clusters, zero-based budgeting, competition law, and free trade agreements. Sir has also held major positions like member to the Board of Management of Maharshi Dayanand Saraswati University, all in
Manmita ma'am, you are not audible. You can try speaking again, ma'am.
Lavanya, you take over, Lavanya.
Just a second, ma'am.
Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am,
Yes.
you're audible now.
Okay, I'm very sorry for the technical glitch. Professor Sharma, sir, is a reputed, nationally renowned consultant on intellectual property rights, industry clusters, zero-based budgeting, competition law, and free trade agreements. Sir has also had major positions like member to the Board of Management of Maharshi Dayanand Saraswati University, All India convener of Bharat Solar Power Development Forum, and All India, has published more than 200 research papers and articles to his credit. Not just that, sir has also been a member to the All India convener of Swadeshi Jagaran Manch. With publishing 200 research papers and articles to his credit, sir has also published his articles in various journals, magazines, and newspapers. Professor Sharma is also an expert on ancient Indian scriptures. Professor Bhagwati Prasad Sharma is decorated with various awards, including the Achiever Award 2016 for Best Contribution in Management Sector for the year 2015 by Computer Society of India, Excellence Award 2016 by Hindustan Times, and Yagyavalkya Award by Bharat Vikas Parishad, to name just a few. Honored are we at Disha Bharat to welcome Professor Sharma sir on Disha Bharat's platform. I heartily welcome you to today's event, Professor Sharma sir.
Thank you, Professor Manvita. You have very elaborately and meticulously introduced me. For that, I convey my thanks to you. Professor Rekha Ramchandran, Professor Lavanya Radhakrishnan, and all the deans, directors, as I have been told, vice chancellors are also here in this web space, and all the participants. Education is the only moving force which shapes the destiny of any society or polity. The scientific progress, technological progress, socio-cultural values, everything is determined by education. And I think global citizenship also conveys that one has to reciprocate with the global expectations. And India has been championing the cause of global well-being since time immemorial. And I think we can contribute to global well-being only by imbibing the human values within ourselves. Regarding values, since you have been working on value-based education, I think there cannot be a better example of kind of values India had portrayed in ancient time from a quotation from Megasthenes. Megasthenes had been the ambassador of Greece in the Chandragupta Maurya's court. He stayed in India for 6 years, and then he authored a book called Indica. There are 3 Indicas. One Indica on India was authored before that. And 2,300 years back, this second Indica was authored by Megasthenes. A third Indica was authored in 11th century by Arrian. I am referring to the Indica authored by Megasthenes. Megasthenes has mentioned that in India, the social values are so high that even when the armies of 2 enemy kings are fighting and they are engaged in a fierce battle, still the citizens, men, women, and children, they continue to work in their farms and they remain totally unruffled, and they are fearless even when a fierce battle is going on between their king and an enemy king. Because the dharma, that is the value system of these people, says that an armed soldier can attack another armed soldier only. Citizens, even they may be of animal kingdom, are not attacked by the soldiers. And this value was so deeply ingrained in the conduct and behavior of all the soldiers that soldiers of both the armies never touched any citizen. And it means the kind of education, whether it was being imparted in the families, it was being imparted in the gurukulas or elsewhere, was so deeply ingraining the values in the conduct and behavior of everyone that even if someone is fighting a battle and he can rob the citizens of enemy kingdom, or they can attack the women or children or something like, but they had such a restraint. And another thing, this value system was so firmly ingrained in the mind of every citizen also in all the kingdoms that they thought, they were fearless, that if the soldiers are fighting, they would be fighting with other soldiers and we would be staying harmless. It means this value system was so deeply ingrained in the minds of one and all, whether somebody is a soldier or somebody is a citizen or somebody is a farmer or anyone. And therefore, I think the kind of education which ingrained the ethics and values in the conduct and behavior of the citizens was of utmost quality. Today, when we see the major crisis before our educational system, let me enumerate. I see 4 kinds of crises before educationists. First is of quality and inventiveness. And actually, when we see, so in quality and innovativeness, we are constantly lagging behind. And this is being reflected in our overall economic performance, manufacturing, and several other things. We will be coming to it also. Another lacuna which I do see, that our education is highly disjunct from our national ethos, and the gap is widening in last few decades. Third lacuna which I do see is our education is not ingrained with our rich heritage of knowledge in our ancient scriptures. And fourth, and I think the foremost lacuna is we are not succeeding in ingraining ethics and values in the conduct and behavior of our students, passing out students. No doubt we are having these days subjects on professional ethics and human values and ethics in management. And I think in every stream, whether it is engineering or it is management or everywhere, or even at a school level, we are having moral science and all these subjects. And students secure very good marks from 80 to 100%. But when it comes to practicing those ethics, they are often undermined in earning some minor gains. And therefore, the biggest crisis is how to ingrain the ethics and values in the conduct and behavior of the students. These days, a lot of pedagogical researches have been done. And transformational pedagogies are a group of teaching learning approaches which help to build desirable values or transform the values of the students. So value system can be transformed. A lot of research work is being done. At the outset, let me also mention that often when we do refer to pedagogy, we confine ourselves to pedagogy only. Pedagogy means facilitating child learning. Now in higher education, we have been using andragogical interventions also. Andragogy means facilitating adult learning. So at university level or college level, we have been teaching the adults, and therefore we also have to blend our pedagogies with the andragogical interventions. Then these days, the students read a lot themselves. Therefore, heutagogical interventions or heutagogical approaches, heutagogy means self-directed learning. So one can learn himself or herself. Then there are pedagogical interventions, peer-to-peer learning. These days, the students also learn a lot, say when we use the technique of facilitating problem-based learning, facilitating project-based learning. So if a class is divided into 4 or 5 groups, each group is allocated some problem, then that group would be interacting with within that group among themselves. They would be discussing the problem, they would be coming out with a solution. So I think pedagogy is also, and I think you'll be finding scores of books on pedagogies also. So then there are transformational pedagogies also, which help to transform the value system of the students, and almost there are more than 20 such teaching learning approaches falling under various gojis in different names like pedagogy, andragogy, heutagogy, transformational pedagogy, Ubuntu goji. There are many. I'll be quoting an example. To develop team cohesiveness and reciprocity among the students, Ubuntu goji is a good approach. A teacher in Africa took her students for an outing, and she carried with her a large bunch of toffees, chocolates, and she put in a basket, and that basket was hanged from a tree, and the students were taken farther from it. And then they were told that whichever student would be running fastest and reaching to that basket first would have the right to use those toffees. He can take home, he can distribute among his or her friends, or he can do whatever he or she likes. And then the students, what they did, they held the hands of each other, and instead of competing with each other, they announced or they raised a slogan, Ubuntu. Ubuntu in African language means we are together, hum saath saath hain. So they held their hands together, they raised the hand, they started running together, and all of them reached to that basket of toffees, and they surrounded it, and then they lowered it, and they distributed the toffees. Now, this has helped the students that instead of hurting each other, they should help each other. So these days, since we are having limited time, I'll have to touch on many other issues. But what do I want to convey here? That all the teachers who are present, they should study the experiments that are being conducted worldwide on various teaching learning approaches, falling in a wide range of more than 20 such gojis, from pedagogy to andragogy to pedagogy to heutagogy to transformational pedagogy, and likewise. So I think if we have to ingrain the ethics and values in the conduct and behavior of the students in their true life, then we have to use various indoor games, outdoor games, moral stories. These days, we normally do not use such moral stories, but we also must have some games. I think games, I mean to say, various games which are described by Eric Berne. There is a book authored by Eric Berne, Games People Play. So sometimes a game undergoes, there are some certain undercurrents. So actually, we have to devise our teaching learning pedagogies in a way that we can convey the right kind of values to the students. Another important thing which I would like to mention here is that about more than a century ago, Vivekananda ji has observed that in the time to come, people of all backgrounds, languages, ethnicities would come to live together in various large metropolitan cities. So if we see large metropolitan cities of Europe, US, and other places, even in the West Asia, everywhere we find, say for example, in UAE, almost more than 3/4 of the people are from different nationalities who are working there. Whether we go to Washington or we go to London, everywhere we find people. And we see that there are 200 nations, 6,000 languages, various clans, ethnicities. And therefore, if all of these people would have reciprocity of responsibility towards each other, then only I think we can thrive in a cohesive world where we can progress well. We also see that a lot of terrorism is also going on. We have seen how Taliban is behaving in Afghanistan or elsewhere. And therefore, when we see such examples, then universal value system becomes very important in guiding. Another important thing which at the outset I would like to mention is almost we are having 137 crore people in India. It doesn't reflect anything, but we are more than a continental nation. Our 137 crore population is more than the combined population of 76 countries comprising Europe and Latin America. Almost there are around 44 major nations and there are 6 minor sovereignties. So there are 50 nations in Europe and 26 countries in Latin America. And if we combine the population of all these 76 countries of constituting Europe and Latin America, even then their population is little bit less than the total population of India. And therefore, I think if we can ingrain finest values in the brains of the Indian citizens, it is very essential, because we have people from different states. Sometimes the policy of sons of soil in certain state encourages people to organize against the people of other states, and the violence erupts against the people of other states. So I think if we have to live peacefully in India, which is having a population of the size of more than 2 continents, then again, the concept of global citizenship becomes very important. Normally, I have this habit of taking people in ancient era also. I think India had practiced the concept of global citizenship and global governance also. In every puja part, there is a swasti vachan of 3 stanzas, 3 shlok hote hain usme. First is Jagnen Jagnamaya Janta Devastani Dharmani. Third one says Om Swasti Samrajyam Vairajyam Bhojyam. It narrates almost 13 to 14 kinds of governances. And then towards the end, it says Prathivyaye Samudra Paryantaya Ek Rad Titi. Means from earth to ocean, this whole of the universe is one nation governed by common tenets. And there are various kinds of governments within this universal nation. And it says Swasti Samrajyam. Samrajya, as per our ancient scriptures like Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, and Shatvat Brahman, etc., it says where there is a monarchy and no parliament or no king's council is there. And if the king takes all the decisions himself, then it is called Samraj. Vairajya means the king in Vairajya is called Virat. We have seen Raja Virat in Mahabharat era also. There is Virat Nagar in Nepal also. So right from Indonesia up to Afghanistan, there had been Virat Nagars. And right from Nepal to Sri Lanka, there had been Virat Nagar at many places. And wherever there used to be powerful feudal lords to elect or to appoint the king, and The king's council was constituted from powerful lords. Then second, it says Bhoj. The king of Bhoj empire is called Bhoj, Raja Bhoj. We have seen Bhoj empire had been there for several centuries at various places. There is a Bhojpur in Nepal also. There are Bhojpurs in Southeast Asia also. There are Bhojpurs in India also. So wherever the intellectual lords, feudal lords were there, and they used to appoint the king, and the council of king was of intellectuals, and it was a welfare state. It was the kingdom was or empire was called Bhoj, and its king was called Bhoj, Raja Bhoj. In this way, I'll not be taking much of the time because there are almost 14 to 15 types of kingdoms. Samant Paryai, Adhirajya, there are various. Parmeshti Rajya, where some god is considered as the king, and the king is acts like divan or prime minister of that, like in Uttar Mewar. Almost for 76 generations, the king used to portray as prime minister of Lord Eklingji, that is of Lord Shiva. So there had been. So it has been said that this whole earth is one nation having common tenets of governance, but there are various forms of governments, Bhoj, Vairajya, Samant Paryai, Adhirajya, and we, Swasti means we wish well-being for all these citizens and all these kingdoms. I would not be able to go into much details of this concept of global governance as described in Indian scriptures, but at least I would like to mention that we had this concept since time immemorial of reciprocity towards every global citizen, and the tenets of global well-being were being practiced everywhere. Now, again, coming to the new education policy or National Education Policy 2020. It has mentioned that India has to be a global knowledge superpower. So now, if we have to rise to the level of global knowledge power, then we have to identify the areas where we should excel. For instance, today, almost I can say 43% of patent applications being filed worldwide are being filed by Chinese scholars. Out of 33 patent filings, 15 lakh patent applications are being filed by Chinese scholars. Indian scholars file only 50 to 52,000 patent applications every year. So our share is less than 1.5%. China has 43% share. And that is why China has 28.4% share in world manufacturing. India has 3% share in world manufacturing. We are also 17.6% of global population. China is also around us, 18.4% of global population. But there is a wide gap. Then we see the US is having almost 17.5% share in world manufacturing. Earlier, US was holding first rank. Now China has displaced it from first rank. Then the third place is of Japan. Japan has only 1.6% share in world population, but it has 10% share in world manufacturing. The fourth rank is held by Germany with 6.5% share in world manufacturing. If we add up the share of world manufacturing of 4 countries, China, US, Japan, and Germany, it comes to around 60%. As I have already mentioned, there are 200 nations or countries in the world, and out of these 200 countries, 60% of world manufacturing is owned or cornered by 4 countries. And therefore, when we talk of global citizenship, then it comes to uniformity of welfare and well-being, citizenship welfare, social security, all these things. And therefore, somewhere we have to put the world order properly. For example, in the year 1820, the difference between richest country and poorest country was of 1:3. The highest per capita income and lowest per capita income in the world varied from 1 to 3. Today, the difference is of more than 1:400. And therefore, when we think of global citizenship, we have to think of participation of the global people almost equitably in the economic pie. And that is also very important. Because, for example, when we come to the secondly, what has happened in last 30 to 35 years, world has moved towards globalization. But actually, it was not globalization. It was opening of the trade and investment for the companies of industrialized world. So they got free access into the markets of the developing countries. And this has affected, for example, before globalization, India had only a trade deficit of $1.6 billion. It has ballooned 100 times up to 2019, and it reached $160 billion. So our trade deficit in 1991 was only $1.6 billion. Now it has reached to $160 billion in 2019. And this has led to the devaluation of Indian rupee. In 1991, the rupee value was 18 rupees equal to $1. Today it is 75 rupees equal to $1. So had the rupee dollar exchange rate been same at 18 rupees per dollar, for any import of $100, we had to pay only 1,800 rupees. Today we have to pay 7,500 rupees. So when we talk of global citizenship, I think the currency exchange rates, employment level, wages, salaries, employee welfare system, social security system, all these also should be taken care of. Now, what has happened when China, Korea, certain other countries of Asia started taking dominance in the global economy? The industrialized countries which talked of globalization, they in last 7 years, they started talking of deglobalization. Even US, European countries also imposed many restrictions on imports and foreign investment, etc., to safeguard their economies. Now, after the corona, when the economies of the whole world have contracted, except China, our economy has also contracted by 7.7% last year. So now the world is moving towards reverse globalization. Reverse globalization means every country is trying to enhance manufacturing within its territory, develop homegrown technologies, and enhance employment within every nation. So I think with this change from globalization to deglobalization and then reverse globalization, and in light of this, we also have to think how we have to deal with the concept of global citizenship, and how can today almost 20 million Indians, 2 crore Indians are residing, the Indian diaspora is residing in various countries and contributing in their economies. So I think for them also, wherever they have been residing, they have to be loyal to those nationalities. So coming back to the quality and innovativeness of education, if India has to enhance its manufacturing, for example, we see today almost 50 crore lithium batteries have to be imported. 90% of solar panels have to be imported from China alone. And almost we are paying 25,000 crores of rupees to China for importing solar panels needed for our solar power plants. And employment for 7 lakh Chinese is generated in China for making solar panels for India. Now here comes the role of skill and technology. Making solar panels is not very difficult task. Just you have to ignite or heat silica up to 1000 degrees centigrade. You can manufacture silicon ingots. Then those silicon ingots have to be subjected to thin wafering. And those thin wafers of silicon ingot are used to make solar cells and photovoltaic cells. And from these photovoltaic cells, photovoltaic panels or solar panels can be made. So we need the skill of making silicon ingots from silica, sand. We have plenty of sand. Sand की कोई कमी नहीं है, रेत बहुत है हिंदुस्तान में. So just we have to from silica to silicon ingots, from silicon ingot to thin wafering, from thin wafering to photovoltaic cell, and photovoltaic cell to photovoltaic panel. So we, I would prefer to call it as technology. No doubt the theme is skill. But here I would like to mention that we have to think over and above the skills. Now, what has happened? India has got reduced into a country of assembly lines in last 30 years. 30 years back, we used to manufacture most of the things wherein all the downstream value chain of original equipments were manufactured here. Whatever kind of refrigerators was being manufactured by Alvin, the Birla company, the Kelvinator, or Maharaja International, or whatever they were. Right from iron, aluminium, zinc, and copper, all these metals were being domestically manufactured. From that, coils were being made, mini compressors were being made, and the refrigerators were being made domestically. Now, what we do, we bring various original equipments from different countries, and we just assemble. Today, we have been assembling mobile phones. Most of the downstream value chain original equipments are coming from China or Korea or other countries. So right from mobile phone to metro train, now we are having almost 27 metro train corporations. Governments create a metro train corporation. Then this metro train corporation, government provides 200 to 300 technocrats, bureaucrats. Then tenders are invited. Whether Bombardier of Canada or Alstom or Thales, all these companies back the tenders. They bring the rolling stock from their countries, or they bring the completely knocked down kits and they assemble the metro trains here. They run the trains. We pay for ticket. Whatever salaries and wages they have to pay here in India, they pay, and balance profits are taken out of the country. So right from mobile phone to metro trains, from passbook printer to refrigerators, from this ATM dispensers to this power plants, everything is being assembled here. And that is why in India, we have been focusing on only skilling. Because if the Ericsson has to make its passbook printer here, then they need skilled manpower to do welding, soldering, screwdriving, all these things. So I think at this stage, we have to, no doubt, most of the Indian companies complain that Indian engineering graduates or other graduates lack skills needed to do the work. So they are not having the employable skills. So no doubt, for these assembly lines, they need skilled people. But India has also to think of developing technologies. For example, today, almost we are having 400 micro, small and medium enterprise clusters, MSME clusters. Near me, we have Firozabad. In Firozabad, there used to be 550 glass manufacturing units. Today, the number of glass manufacturing units has come down to less than 2. Because silica has the problem of trapezium, and another is our furnaces have the temperature up to 700, 800 degrees, while in China, they have developed the furnaces on which they can manufacture glass items at a temperature of 1300 degrees centigrade, and that's why those glass items are more durable. So we have to think of both skills for various multinational companies or domestic companies doing assembling for those parent companies, as well as we need technologies to manufacture original equipments domestically. So that is also essential. Another important thing which I do see is we need a lot of replacement technologies. Under the fourth industrial revolution, a large number of new products are being introduced. For example, these days, electric vehicles are replacing the fossil fuel-based petrol and diesel-driven vehicles. Even government has announced a policy that after 2030, no fossil fuel based vehicles would be allowed to be sold. No automobiles would be running on petrol or diesel would be allowed to be sold. Today, we have more than 70 to 90,000 companies from Coimbatore to Gurgaon, which are manufacturing engine parts, because a petrol engine or diesel engine has 2,000 parts. And right from scooter and bike to car, tractor, earth movers, various kinds of vehicles, all engine parts have to be made. They are of unique nature. But when we would be replacing all automobile vehicles with the electric vehicles, all this manufacturing of engine parts, 2,000 engine parts for petrol engine and 2,000 parts for diesel engine, and for various variants from bike to earth movers, including cars, trucks, buses, etc. So there would be no need to manufacture. So all these companies would become redundant, and we would need electric drives. Till now, India has not developed the technology to manufacture electric drive domestically. We are assembling the electric drives by importing components from China or from Korea or elsewhere. So unless we develop complete technology of electric drives domestically, homegrown technology for each of the component of the electric drive, it would be very difficult. That on the one hand, all the engine part manufacturing companies would be closed down. There are lakhs of engine mechanics spread across the country, where we get our bike, scooter, car, truck, etc. repaired. So all those engine mechanics would also be rendered jobless. Now, an electric drive has only 20 parts. A diesel or petrol engine has 2,000 parts. Electric drive would be having 20 parts, and electric drive would be requiring less than 5% repair and maintenance. It would only be replaced. And therefore, all these engine mechanics, so they have to be retrained, they have to be re-skilled, they have to be re-employed for various kinds of jobs. Because electric drive would also not be requiring that much repair and maintenance, whatever is required. So actually, we have to think of, and that is why technology company Dell has said that by 2035, by 2035, what kind of jobs would there be? It is difficult to anticipate 85% of the jobs. So today we cannot anticipate what kind of jobs would exist by 2035. 85% of those jobs would be of new technologies with which we are not familiar right now. And therefore, we have to reimagine what kind of skills our employees would be required to have. Even for example, today in software development, I think now when artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, all these new technologies are going to replace the ordinary software development. So even our IT people, software developers, they also shall have to be retrained for new skills of blockchain or machine learning or like that. So new languages. So I think almost 40% of the employees and executives, software engineers, they also have to be re-skilled and redeveloped. So we have to keep this thing in our mind. So that is another thing. Third thing, which I do feel that as we have to import a large number of components, as I've already said, 90% of solar panels have to be imported from China. Almost we import 50 crore lithium batteries every year for about 85 products being manufactured in India. China has the monopoly. We have to use the components from there. For 358 products, almost 80% is coming from China. So wherever we are dependent, say for example, 70% of our active pharmaceutical ingredients have to be imported from China. And therefore, what do I feel that wherever we are import dependent, we have to develop homegrown technology to manufacture those products. Another important thing with respect to technology, what do I feel is that now new technologies, which we call sunrise sectors and sunrise technologies, we have to develop. For example, artificial intelligence, machine learning, blockchain, robotics, mechatronics, nanotechnology. All these, there are 5G, supercomputing, quantum computing. For all these technologies, these sunrise sectors and sunrise technologies, we have to develop ourselves. Just to mention a few. India has largest arable area, सबसे ज़्यादा खेतियों की ज़मीन हमारे पास है. But we have not been working on developing AI-based algorithmic products for agriculture. There are universities like Illinois University, and more than 300 to 400 universities worldwide have been working on developing AI-based algorithmic products for agriculture crop yield prediction. When a farmer has sown the crop, what was the soil test report? What nutrients he has added? How the temperature and humidity has changed over the period of that crop? So all those universities have developed crop yield prediction tools or solutions. So on the basis of those softwares, they can predict that when the crop of the farmer, whether he has sown corn or whether he has sown tomato or potato, उसकी फसल कब पकेगी और कितना yield होगा, this can be predicted from those products. If we will have to import all those software solutions, AI-based software solutions, we would be stripped of money. Then there are various Chinese universities which have worked very well on therapeutics and diagnostics. They took various X-ray films being produced every day in various hospitals and clinics. They fed those X-ray films into big data analysis and machine learning, and now they have developed an artificial intelligence-based algorithmic product on the basis of which, from a simple X-ray of an individual, they can predict who is going to have lung cancer and when. Now, if this solution, you would also be requiring, whether for a small dispensary in Bangalore or Apollo Hospital in Delhi. So if we will have to import those algorithmic products from China or from other places, I think again we would be stripped of money unless we do research in our universities. Likewise, this Google Retina scan. They have developed the retina scans simply by taking a pic of your retina of eyes. You can find out how much heart blockage one can have after how many months. Likewise, now from therapeutics and diagnostics, if we come to defense, we have raised barbed wire fence on Bangladesh border, but we are not able to stop infiltration of people or smuggling of cattle, cows, and all these things. Israel has worked very well to use the sunrise technologies, robotics, mechatronics, electronic sensors, photo recognition systems. So they have developed sensors, and they have installed those electronic sensors alongside their border. And those sensors can take the cognizance if any person is approaching near their border. Then those sensors are related or linked to photo identification systems. And they have loaded photos of all border area citizens and border area security personnel. Now, when this sensor takes the cognizance of a person approaching near the border, that sensor sends data to the photo recognition system. Photo recognition system distinguishes between these photos of citizens whose photos are uploaded in that system and aligned persons whose photos are not available, that is, they are the trespassers. If that photo recognition system cautions that no, this is not their security personnel nor their border area citizen, it is some aligned person, immediately signal is sent to the robot. They call it as Guardian, and they have developed such robots, mechatronics-based robots, which can run in the desert at a velocity of 50 kilometers per hour. So when sensor takes the cognizance, it sends data to the photo recognition system. Photo recognition system, if that is an aligned citizen, signals the Guardian, the robot, and that robot runs from there at a velocity of 50 kilometers and naps that trespasser. Now, That is why in the national education policy, they have talked of, or they have mentioned of, interdisciplinary studies and research. That is, since robotics is involved, photo identification system of computer science engineering is involved, electronic sensors are involved, there are many other intervening procedures. And therefore, national education policy has talked of multiple courseworks. Now, if a person of electronics has developed the sensors, then it has to understand the photo recognition system of computer science engineering, and therefore when he is doing PhD on any related area, he may be required to go multiple courseworks for different disciplines. So this has also been identified in the national education policy, and in skilling the people and developing the technology, we have to keep all these things in our mind. Now, coming to interdisciplinary approaches, I would also like to mention one area where these days people are working. Brain to audible speech. So there are sensors which can interpret the impulses of the neurons of the brain. Then they are subjected to big data analysis, machine learning, and ultimately it is converted to voice. And if a person of a stroke cannot speak, then what he needs to drink water, then this can be. So neurology is also involved, electronics is also involved, big data analysis is also involved, sound and electricity of physics is also involved. So that is why national education policy talks of multiple courseworks and interdisciplinary studies. Now, again, coming to, as I have said, our education is highly disjunct with the national ethos, as well as we are not able to incorporate the rich knowledge heritage. I would like to come to rich knowledge heritage. Our teachers have to imbibe knowledge from our ancient scriptures. I think I would be having shortage of time, so I would be coming directly to the knowledge heritage, and I will be coming to just single example. Actually, in our ancient scriptures, every word has a deep connotation based on some scientific phenomenon, some technology, or some social science phenomenon, or very deep knowledge is there. How word epidemiology, etymology can help. For example, when we say mantra, manana trayate iti mantra, manan karne wale ki raksha kare, वह mantra hai. Means if you just have some thought process on that, it protects. Then when we say Shankar, Sham Tanotu iti Shankara, which protects from crisis, is Lord Shankar. Likewise, for heart, in Sanskrit, we call it as Hriday. There are 4 letters, Ha, Ra, Da, Ya. Modern science has found out, or has discovered, only in 1628 when William Harvey has discovered that the role of heart in the body is to circulate the blood. Other functions of the heart were not known to any scientist up to 20th century. In India, we have Shatpat Brahman, which is a 5,000 years old scripture, and we have the Nirukta of Yask, which is 4,000 years old scripture. It describes 4 functions of heart, that there are 4 letters, Ha, Ra, Da, Ya. Harte, Dadate, Raite, Yamam, Hriday Shabda. Harte yani it takes blood from the body. Dadate yani it gives blood to the body. Raite yani it circulates blood in the body. Yamam, it means it regulates the heartbeat. 70 years back, no scientist was having any idea that heartbeat is generated from the electrical impulses of the natural pacemaker of the heart itself. Brain has no role. People used to believe that it is the brain which must be regulating the heartbeat, but brain has no role. And this has been described in the Bhel Samhita also. Bhel Samhita is Again, a 4,000 years old scripture on Ayurveda. चरक संहिता सब जानते हैं, भेल संहिता का नाम बहुत कम लोग जानते हैं, लेकिन चरक संहिता जितना ही भेल संहिता में भी there is knowledge. And so it says heartbeat is regulated by heart itself. Now, science also says that no, heartbeat is regulated by the natural pacemaker of the heart, and these are the electrical impulses which are being generated by this natural pacemaker. And if somebody's natural pacemaker goes out of order, an artificial pacemaker has to be installed. What is artificial pacemaker? Artificial pacemaker is a silver ion battery. In our mobile, we have lithium ion battery. In pacemaker, we use silver ion battery. That is more safe for human. And then an electrode is taken and is inserted in the pericardium of the heart, and then that electrode is used to give electrical impulses to the ventricle. If somebody's natural pacemaker is having more severe problem, then a pacemaker of double lead has to be used to give electrical impulses to both the ventricles. And even if somebody is having even grave problem, then a triple lead pacemaker is used, where electrical impulses are given to both the ventricles and to atrium also. Now, in Yajurveda, there is a shlok. Agni ghung hradena shani ghung hradaya agrena pashupatim krasna. Ashani means vidyut, electricity. So it says, I bear electricity in the anterior portion of my heart. So actually, the electrical impulses which are being given from artificial pacemaker in the ventricle, it is the anterior portion of the heart. Then it also talks of Koshabhyam, means two components or blocks of the heart. It also talks of Matsanabhyam, it means multiple organs of the heart to be given electrical impulses. It also talks Antarparshvain, that is this silver ion battery is installed subcutaneously just above the ribs and below the skin. So actually, when we go through various now here I would also like Charak Samhita, Vedic scriptures also say that Chitta Vritti, Chitta ka sthan hriday hai, that is the center of thought process, and Vrittiyan means the habits are determined by heart. In Yajurveda there are shloks, Manah Shiv Sankalpa Mastu, Mera man Shiv Sankalp wala Sat Sankalp wala bane. And ancient scriptures used to say that somebody's tendency to steal something, nature of theft, nature of molesting women, all these evil wills are generated from heart. 70 years back, no scientists believed this. But now when heart transplantations are taking place, scientists have also started saying there are two kinds of memories. One is cortical memory, that is the memory of the brain, and other is the cardiac memory, yani ki Mastishk Gat Smriti or Hriday Gat Smriti. Now science talks of both kinds of memories. And it is believed that all these instincts of individuals are evolved or generated from heart. Because a lady, she never thought of liquor. But she was having heart problem, and a person who died in the road accident, and his heart was transplanted in that lady, and that person was fond of drinking beer. So after this transplantation, that lady became addict of beer. Thereafter, in Africa, a foundry worker was transplanted the heart of a piano-placed girl. So that foundry worker had no idea of a piano, but after this heart transplantation, he became fond of playing piano. Then in another, Bruce Lipton and certain other biologists have made a deep analysis of this, that a lady, a girl was murdered. After her murder, before her heart was biologically dead, her heart was transplanted into another girl having some heart problem. So then that girl started apprehending that somebody is going to murder her. So they consulted a psychiatrist. Psychiatrist said that you also consult police. And when police was consulted, that lady, that girl, recipient of the heart of a donor who was murdered, identified the person who has murdered, her clothes, her face, and ultimately that criminal was nabbed by police on the basis of description given by that recipient of the heart transplant. So I think when we talk of skills, we also should impress upon our faculty members that the skills or knowledge, heritage, which is there in our scriptures, we also have to read that. Just regarding the etymology of the words, I'll quote one more example. In 2012, a conference of 105 nations on climate change was held. And there, the scientists were of the opinion that the rains that take place on the earth, maximum contribution in terms of humidity comes from oceans. And 40% of the humidity contribution is done by the forest. Forest as the second largest contributor of humidity, rain precipitating humidity. Now, the Yask's Nirukt, in the Nirukt of the Yask, how this word one, in Hindi we call one, forests are called one. I think सभी लोग जानते होंगे, इतनी हिंदी सब लोग जानते होंगे, एक जंगल को forest को one कहते हैं. So the evolution of the term one, as described by Yask, is vanyate yachate vrashti pradayate iti vanaha, means which demands rains from nature on earth is one. So I think when we talk of global citizenship, what do I feel that the knowledge heritage of Indian scriptures, whether these are the Vedic scriptures or these are the Puranic scriptures or these are the Upanishads or these are Smritis or these are various other scriptures, we have immense heritage of knowledge in it, and therefore this is a global heritage. Vedas and Puranas are not the heritage of Hindus alone, but the knowledge is useful for every citizen of this planet, and therefore I would say that it is the duty of Indian diaspora and Indian teachers to familiarize the whole world with the knowledge heritage we have. So in the beginning, I have talked of global governance, and there I am talking of this. So I have started with values. I have mentioned of Megasthenes, and then I think we have talked of quality and innovativeness in education, skilling, technology. These days I do talk of techno-nationalism. That is, we have to develop homegrown technologies for all those things. I'll just be finishing within 3 minutes, giving an example of techno-nationalism. China, Taiwan, Korea, US, Japan, many, most of the advanced countries, they practice techno-nationalism, that is to develop homegrown technologies. So how India was thriving very well, was doing well in the era of first generation of telecom technology. C-DOT had developed telephone exchanges to connect almost 80,000 telephone lines of fixed telephone. But second generation of telecom technology, India had developed a very unique technology called core DECT. Those who are from electronics, they should note it down. COR is small, DECT is capital. BSNL had conducted some trials of mobile telephony with core DECT that was successful. This is the only technology in the world within which voice and data can travel together. But all of a sudden, we adopted GSM technology. We just foregone that homegrown technology. By that time, about more than a dozen countries thought that India has such a large population base, and that's why this technology would become cheaper earliest, and therefore they also adopted. Within a fortnight, about more than a dozen countries also emulated India and adopted GSM technology of Europe. By that time, China was not born in telecom technology. They knew nothing about telecom technology. But at the time of development of third generation of telecom technology, they poured money like water. खूब पैसा पानी की तरह बहाया और कोशिश किया कि दुनिया में सबसे पहले यूरोप अमेरिका से पहले वो third generation telecom technology developed, but they could not do. They developed a very primitive technology called TD-SCDMA. That was a very tortuous and primitive technology, but pursuing the policy of techno-nationalism, they said we will not allow any European or American telecom technology, third generation telecom technology in China. And they said that we would be releasing a spectrum only for TD-SCDMA, the homegrown technology. Due to that, the third generation telecom technology could not spread well in China, could not become popular. They did not worry for that. But the money they earned from this TD-SCDMA, they spent in developing fourth generation telecom technology, and they did this miracle that China was the first to develop fourth generation telecom technology, TD-LTE, ahead of US, America, and all countries. And that is so best, most advanced technology that even today 55% telecom networks worldwide are operating on TD-LTE, and out of that money, they developed the fifth generation telecom technology ahead of the rest of the world. And therefore, the Economist journal, weekly magazine being published by London, has commented that China, while pursuing the policy of techno-nationalism, has attained the goal of techno-globalism. So what do I want to say? That our educationists, our faculty members, if we have to, today, everyone wants to learn Mandarin, the Chinese language. Europeans are learning Mandarin because China has become the manufacturing hub of the world. Almost it is the largest manufacturing country, largest exporting country, exporter of largest high technology exports. When we compare, we are 5,200 times larger than Singapore. But Singapore has 7.5 times higher high technology exports than India. We rank 22nd, Singapore ranks 5. And China has 30 times more high technology exports than India. And therefore, to be the global citizen, we have to develop homegrown technologies. We have to popularize our ancient knowledge, wisdom, national ethos, and value system. And I think India can do the miracle in the national education policy. We have set the target of becoming the global knowledge superpower. We also have expressed the target of integrating education with our national ethos. And we have also set the target of integrating our scriptural knowledge with the modern day knowledge. So with this, I think I should now finish, because you must be having planned to have some question answers or whatever. So now I convey my thanks to all of you for giving me a patient listening. And if there is any provision of question answer, I am here.
Thank you very much, Professor Sharma, sir. It was indeed a speech, probably opening our eyes into what's happening in the global ethos when it comes to economy, and how very well you have linked every point through your speech to the NEP. Thank you very much, sir. As you have told, NEP is definitely a focus on interdisciplinary approach. And we hope that in future, we do see, as you have rightly commented, a homegrown technological approach where the person who is working on technology has training in various different disciplines throughout the education of the Indian system. Thank you very much, sir. So we have a couple of questions that are lined up, which are in sync with the topic of today's VIKASANA program. If you may please, with your permission, may I ask the question?
Sure, sure.
Thank you, sir. The first question reads, how should the curriculum be framed without sacrificing the traditionally important subjects like math, physics, accounts, etc., to accommodate skill-based and value-based courses? What is the mindset change required for this?
There are two things. One is we have to conduct the skill gap survey in the area where our passing out students are getting employed. So what is the employability gap or skill gap? For example, when we used to teach students, MBA students, so some of the entrepreneurs said, Sharma ji, look, when I ask somebody, some MBA, to prepare a credit note or debit note, he cannot do that. When I ask him to bring a voucher, he cannot recognize a voucher. And therefore, in our MBA program, we introduced a capsule of business practice. That is what is to be. So whether it is for electronics or it is for electrical engineering or it is for commerce or management or even it may be for humanities or social sciences, I think we have to be particular in this regard that what is the employability gap, that is number one. So we have to incorporate that. Another important thing for making education skill-based is what are the skills evolving, and because today we are teaching an engineering graduate who has got admission in first year, he or she would be passing out after 4 years, or if he completes his or her MTech, then 6 years. So what kind of skills would be required 6 years ahead of today? What do we have that often we just said, so what kind of, say, when we are teaching engineering, electrical engineering, we have to teach students about the electric drives or the future technologies. Even in this regard, right choice of technology is also very important, though it is not related to the question. For example, we are using the battery-driven vehicles. Why should we go for that? Because we do not have cobalt or lithium, which is required for lithium batteries. It would be creating a lot of pollution menace after the life of the battery is over. Rather, we should go for a hydrogen fuel cell-based technology. No battery is required. No pollution is there. Only you get water as byproduct. So, right choice of technology has also to be thought in this regard. And we have to anticipate what kind of skills would be required to make the students employable after 5 years, 4 years, 6 years down the line. That is more important. Regarding value-based education, I think this is the most tedious task. A lot of work is being done, as in the initially I have just mentioned the example of Ubuntu. So likewise, a lot of work is being done. So we have to incorporate all those things. Another thing is, unless in the society we become value-oriented, the student would never be pursuing that. For example, if I have to conduct a function, if I will be choosing a person who is virtuous and value-based, then my students and my family members and people known to me would be emulating me. Often what happens, say if I have a relative, earlier what used to be in a village, there used to be a very poor person, but he used to be helpful to everyone. If somebody is sick, he would attend him or her. He is very virtuous, he is truthful, has truthfulness, and he is very poor. But still in any function of that village or that colony, that person was respected like anything. Today what happens, a person who has amassed wealth, who has become politically empowered, who has become administratively empowered, we give high esteem to that person instead of a person who is having high virtues. Now, when I tell my child or my grandson or my son that, look, we should always be truthful, we should be honest. But when he would see that his or her father or grandfather is respecting a person with all the evils, but he is politically or financially empowered and he is just giving too much respect to him, and this virtuous person residing near us is not, then that person becomes the role model for them. So actually, if we have to make people virtuous and value-based, then 360-degree transformation is required. Because what happens? If I'll go and visit my friend and I have his son, I'll ask, "Beta, what have you done?" He'll say, "I have done M-Pharma." "What are you doing?" He'll say, "I am working in a local pharma company." "How much is your package?" He will say, "I am getting 20,000 rupees a month." Then I'll say, "Look, that Ramchandran ji His son has also done M-Pharma, and he is drawing a package of 30 lakhs. Now, that person was, I'm not asking whether you rise or get up early in the morning, whether you respect your parents or not, whether you are truthful or like that. I do not talk of virtues. I compare with the package. So now everybody is, after even 30 years back, 20 years back, when I used to talk of values and heritage, the students were too much sensitized. Today, if I talk of values and heritage, it falls upon deaf ears. How can he get best career? How can he get best package? So actually for values, the whole of the society also have to take care of that. And otherwise, there are many transformational pedagogies are focusing on that. So we have to incorporate transformational pedagogies into our teaching learning.
Thank you, sir. That's very well said. This is exactly what Disha Bharat has been striving for years now, to bring in values in the youngsters, thereby bringing value-based thinking and value-based living in the society, and thereby building up the nation. Thank you for bringing up that point, sir. We resonate with your thought. So moving to the next question. The NEP has given equal importance to global citizenship.
Pardon?
The NEP has given equal importance to the global citizenship education and rootedness in the Indian culture.
Yes.
The question is, sir, how does a teacher prepare the student for this duality, but which has to be amalgamated together? Based on this, could you give some tips to our educators who have joined us this evening?
Look, as I have mentioned, sunrise sectors and sunrise technologies. So to enable them to become global citizen, we have to impart best of the skills and best of the knowledge and the best of the technology. Even today, I think we don't take it otherwise. Our IITs and NITs are premier institutes. But our NIT and IIT pass outs are not getting those jobs and those packages which the MIT graduates or Harvard graduates are getting. So still we have to move ahead the ladder, and so we have to, I think, advance our teaching learning. Whatever research has taken place in nanotechnology or artificial intelligence 3 days back, I think I should impart that knowledge to the students, and I will have to sensitize what are the technologies of next 10 years. So that would help to help our graduates to be globally relevant. That is number one. And as I have already mentioned of knowledge heritage of India and our national ethos, so we have to develop or inculcate high esteem and respect in the minds of the youngsters, that they have high regard for our scriptural knowledge and for our, I think, ancient wisdom and our civilizational antiquities. For example, I was reading Valmiki Ramayana few days back. And when Hanumanji says to Bharatji that Lord Ram is likely to come, though Bharatji instructs his ministers that he gives many instructions. One of the instructions is you spray water cooled by ice. Ice cooled water be sprayed on the roads. Even in today's civilization, in 200 countries, no country has this tradition of spraying water which is ice cooled. Up now, it reveals three things. In the Ramayana era, we knew the manufactured ice or captive ice, because within half an hour, ice cooled water was sprayed. Wahan shabd hai, him sheeten varinah. Him stands for ice, sheeten yani him cooled, and varinah yani jal. It is there in the Valmiki Ramayana. Now today we teach that the world has developed the manufacturing technology to manufacture ice in 1858. But the Ramayana era is much older, and when Indian youth would learn that we knew ice at that time and we had such advanced civilization. So actually, whether I have given you the example of heart or all these things, like likewise, for example, every word. For example, when we use the term yashat for zinc, nobody in the world knew how to manufacture zinc, because manufacturing of the zinc is very sensitive. At 820 degrees centigrade, zinc melts, and 910 degrees is its boiling point, and it gets converted into oxide, zinc oxide. So it was not possible to extract zinc in the metal form anywhere in the world. Only Indians knew, and we used copper plate to stop oxidation of zinc. So, and that is why the term yashat is coined. Tamrah yasha pradayate iti yashadah. Means zinc is what gives credit to the copper, because the zinc was extracted in metal form, not allowing it to oxidize, with the help of a copper plate, and therefore tamrah yasha pradayate iti yashadah. And therefore, unless we just teach our youth with all this heritage of knowledge, they would not be having that respect and regard. And if we would be teaching them with all these things, for example, in economics, I think there is not a single definition comparable with the definition of economics given by Chanakya. Today, we are having the problem of joblessness. Even in US, they are talking of universal basic income to be given, because jobs would be lost. In India also, everywhere in world, we are increasing our GDP, but jobs are reducing. Chanakya has given the description of economics, which is based on job creation. Manushyanam vrattir arthah means providing employment. Vrati matlab rozgar. Providing employment to the people is economics. Then Manushyanam vrattir arthah manushvati bhumirityarthah. Providing employment to all the people on the earth is economics. Tasya prativya labh palno paya shastram arthashastram. Giving proper livelihood to every citizen residing on this earth is economics. So actually, unless we just analyze the wisdom of our ancient scriptures, we cannot be. So I think in teaching, biggest challenge is that we have not codified or authored. So our teachers have to do authorship. For example, I here at Greater Noida, just at 10 kilometers, there is a place called Dankor. We have a fair of 10 days every year there. There is a holiday from district magistrate during those 10 days for 1 day. When I asked all my faculty members, my driver, everybody, that what kind of this fair is, sir, बहुत पुराना मेला है, 60-70 साल से लग रहा है. There are prizes up to 1 lakh of rupees. There are wrestling and many other kinds of competition. Nobody knows. I visited that place. I found there is a statue of Dronacharya, and it is the place just near the our place and Hastinapur. Just it is on the border of Hastinapur. Its original name was Dronkor. It was the place where Dronacharya imparted training to the Pandav and Kaurav princes. And then on the final day, there was a competition or demonstration, जिसको हम कह सकते हैं दीक्षांत प्रत्यक्षीकरण. So all those martial arts were displayed by Pandavas and Kauravas on that day. And this is being celebrated from last 5,000 years, from Mahabharata era up to date. During the Mughal era or Muslim invasions, this practice was discontinued. Even a statue of Dronacharya was dismantled. Many other statues were dismantled. And there is a large stadium which can accommodate 2,000 people. It is having 8 steps. So we are having 5,000 years old stadium of 8 steps. After 4 steps, there is a wide patrolling space, and then there are 4 steps. And such a large stadium, there is the statue of Lord Shiva, which was being worshipped by Dronacharya. And there are many other things. I will not be going into the details of that. Then I have authored an article. New National Education Policy talks of national textbooks with local flavor. So local flair would come from all such things we have to. So actually, it is having a tradition of 5,000 years, but it has not been codified. So we teachers have to author, whether it is the scientific knowledge heritage or it is related to our history or civilization.
Thank you for that really wonderful answer, sir. I was mystified listening to you. How you connected Dronakon to Ramayana to Chanakya Niti, and then you brought it to the national textbook with local flavor and teachers becoming authors. And it was such a very nice answer, sir. I'm sure our teachers who have joined in today, the educators, will be really inspired to dwell deep into what can the Indian scriptures provide them. Thank you for that wonderful answer, sir. So we have another question.
Yes.
We see some resistance in teaching fraternity in terms of the implementation of NEP 2020. Can you give some tips for the faculty members to embrace this change holistically?
Actually, a good teacher is one who can motivate his or her students to read more. If you have to taught some subjects, say, as in your introduction, it was said that you are from psychology. And whatever topic you have taught to your students for an hour, if that student is motivated to read that topic for 3 to 5 hours at home or in his off time, in an off time, if he gets so much sensitized to that knowledge, and therefore whether it is implementation of national education policy or otherwise also, first thing, every teacher has to become relevant, and he has to evolve as a role model before the students, that every student should emulate him or her. Now, regarding his devotion or engagement in national education policy, there are three things. One is we have to sensitize the faculty members also about the, actually, this national education policy is very concise and brief. Government has made it. It is we teachers, we have to work on that. We can only make it successful. They have said we have to enliven our national heritage of knowledge. Now, regarding this, we have to sensitize our faculty members about the richness of our knowledge heritage. So for that, workshops, for that various kinds of faculty development programs, in that we have to sensitize the teachers to become the fountainheads of knowledge. Actually, for example, if you too would have been a student, and you must have seen, observed that some of the teachers teach so well that you develop an aspiration that can I become such a successful teacher? So actually, we have to just sensitize the faculty members to that. Another important thing is today, what I should talk frankly also. These days, I think most of the universities are having either guest faculties, visiting faculties. So unless a person is having, what do I feel? A good teacher is one who is motivated, who can motivate the students to read more. But he himself or she herself is not motivated. How can he or she inspire the students? So first thing, we have to give congenial working condition, a proper ecosystem to the faculty member. We have to develop right kind of ecosystem. For example, in my earlier university, one faculty member started writing research papers with MBA students, assigning them a problem, asking them to conduct a survey. A small survey comprises of 30 respondents, and he will conduct that survey, and he will get that research paper published with those 3-4 students and that faculty member. When he used to do that, we often in psychology, in management also, we talk of constructive conflict, management by conflict. So he always used to comment upon other teachers. Look, वो सर क्या पढ़ाते हैं तुमको? मैंने इतने students का research paper publish करवा दिया, मैंने ये करवा दिया. Even those other faculty members used to complain me, sir, yes sir, हमारे बारे में ये ऐसा comment कर. But gradually what has happened, you won't believe that every faculty member teaching in MBA started associating groups of students, and every year our that MBA program used to publish more than 100 research papers. Curtin University of Australia and Delhi IIT conducted a seminar. 7 research papers of 20 students of our MBA program were selected there. And when the students visited there, I am originally from Udaipur. So at that time, those professors there at IIT, they asked, "You are from Udaipur. Are you from IIM Udaipur?" No, no, we are from Pacific University. So what happens? It is you have to create a competition within the faculty members. You have to sensitize them towards the quality, and an ecosystem has to be created.
Thank you, sir. I think that is the frontline message from you to all the educators, to the youth and to the students, where we come together as the teaching fraternity. And as you rightly said, teachers have to be fountainheads of knowledge. Thank you very much, sir. It was indeed a very informative, a very different kind of a session, where you took us on a roller coaster ride, right from the ancient past to the modern future and our present situation, and bridging all of it together so very well. Thank you, sir. On behalf of all the educators and everyone who have joined into this evening's talk, I thank you very much, sir.
So my thanks are also to you, that at least I could sensitize some of the youth, and I think if they become such fountainheads of knowledge, or if they pursue all these things, and I think I would be expecting that they should also author some good research papers and quality research papers, and should get them published in journals with high citation frequency and high index factor, etc. So I think we should invest our time and energy in generating knowledge.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. With this, I thank everyone who have come in, but please wait. I request Lavanya ji to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you so much, Manvita ma'am. It was indeed very inspiring to listen to Professor Bhagwati Prakash Sharma, sir. Sir, your explanation on the importance of universal human values, the knowledge from ancient scriptures, your reiteration on the stark gap that we need to cover in terms of patents and manufacturing and technological advancements and progress in global competence, your extensive, wide and deep knowledge in scriptures was very inspiring. The way you quoted Upanishads and Ramayana and other scriptures was so inspiring, sir. And the flow of your thoughts, your inspiring words have indeed triggered in us a thought process to, unlearn and relearn to do better for our better Bharat as well. We hope to take your guidance in days to come as well, sir. Please accept our heartfelt gratitude for the same, sir. Thank you so much for being on our platform, sir. Thank you so much, Manvita ma'am, for so gracefully moderating the session. It was indeed very happy. We were very happy to have you on our platform. Dear academicians, it has been an overwhelming 11 months. From the past 11, this is the 11th event that we have very successfully completed in the series VIKASANA NEP-2020 Vision to Action. We will be concluding this incredible journey, this incredible series in a very big way next month. We intend to organize a finale of this series by conducting an offline event. So the details of this particular event next month will be shared on our social media platforms. Please do watch out for the same. Please do accept this as our heartfelt invitation. We hope to meet you all in the concluding session. And also, in a couple of minutes, our team member will be sharing with you the feedback form link. Please do submit the feedback form in order to receive your certificates. And in a couple of minutes, we will also be circulating with you all the WhatsApp group link. So in case you were to join our WhatsApp group, you will be receiving very interesting, very good content from us. Disha Bharat is an organization that's exclusively working for the youth of this country on the theme, know yourself, know your country, and know your culture. We are working as a part of this project. We have our own digital team, which dedicates its time in creating content that is useful for the youth of this country, to empower the youth of this country. Please do join the group so that you can receive daily updates, very thought-provoking thought for the day posters, panchangas, and also information about any interesting programs that we will be conducting in days to come as well. We look forward to have you as a part of Disha Bharat Parivar. Thank you so much for being with us all this while. All the very best. Namaste.
Namaste.